Matstana, can attain real peace and can ultimately reach his supreme abode, Krishnaloka, known as Krishnaloka. Yeah, anybody wants to ask a question?
No.
In the Brahma Samhita 5.37, it is clearly stated, Goloka eva nivasakti akilatma bhuto. The Lord, although residing always in his abode, called Goloka, is the all-pervading Brahman and the localized Paramatma as well by dint of his superior spiritual energies. No one can reach the spiritual sky, Vaikuntha, or enter into the Lord's eternal abode, Goloka Vrindavana, without the proper understanding of Krishna and his plenary expansion, Vishnu. Therefore, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai mana Krishna padara vindayo. In the Vedas, also Sruta Upanishad 3.8, we learn Tameva viditvati mrityum eti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool the innocent people. Haribol. Prabhupada is very, very clearly explaining what is real yoga. And it's not this nonsense yoga that's taught in schools or taught in yoga schools. Real yoga is all about attaining eternal life, connecting with Krishna, and going back to Godhead. You can perform gymnastics, but that's not real yoga. Real yoga is concerned with the soul, not with the body. People think it's all about the body. No, it's all about the soul. And the soul is connected to Krishna by devotional service. That's real yoga. Yoga means connecting to Krishna. So that's why it says here, one can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. Oh, well, there you go. All the yoga schools are nonsense. They're not really teaching yoga. They're just cheating the people to make money and calling it yoga, but it's not real yoga. Therefore, here it says, perfection of yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. Yeah. So real yoga will teach you how to be free from the cycle of birth and death and go back to Godhead. That's real yoga. It's not twisting your body like a pretzel. People think, oh, look at him. Oh, he's like a pretzel. Look what he can do with his body. You ever see those pictures of the yogis? Mm-hmm. The body is all twisted, and you look at it and say, "Oh my God, how can a person do that?" Well, yeah, they have to go through a lot of trouble to be able to twist their body like that, but it's just a waste of time. It's not really a great accomplishment. Yes.
So, but Maharaj, what I understood, people try to do this physical yoga for more health benefit rather than
Yeah.
any like spiritual benefit.
Yeah.
That's their like main ultimate goal in their or motivation for them.
Well, that's what they're teaching in the yoga schools, is for physical health. It has nothing to do with spirituality. And they'll say it openly. But that does not intimidate devotees. Devotees know what real yoga is. When you connect to Krishna, that's the whole meaning of the word yoga, connecting to Krishna through devotional service, not through twisting your body like a pretzel. The yogis can twist their body like a pretzel. It's unbelievable, right? When you see that, you say, oh my God, how are they doing that? But it's all a waste of time. It doesn't bring him closer to God. It only makes him look like he might be God himself. But it's just a crock. It's just nonsense. Now, I like this statement, Tam eva viditvati mrityum iti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. There you go. Very, very significant statement. So, by understanding Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one can overcome the path of birth and death. So the perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. There you go. And Prabhupada says here, a person working in Krishna consciousness is the perfect yogi because his mind is always absorbed in Krishna's activities. Savai mana Krishna padara vindaya. And in the Vedas also it says in Srita Sutara Upanishad, Tam eva viditvati mrityum eti. One can overcome the path of birth and death only by understanding the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. In other words, perfection of the yoga system is the attainment of freedom from material existence and not some magical jugglery or gymnastic feats to befool innocent people. So it's very important that we understand what yoga means. It means connecting to Krishna. It's a spiritual practice. It's not a physical practice. But if you join some yoga school today, usually they'll say right in the beginning, this has nothing to do with spirituality. It's only for your health and physical welfare. And they say it, at least they're being honest, but that's not really yoga. To practice yoga, you have to engage in devotional service. That's real yoga, you know, using all your mind, intelligence, and body in the service of Krishna. That's real yoga. Okay, so any questions? All right, we'll go on to text number 16, chapter 6, text number 16 of the Bhagavad Gita. Nati asnatas tu yogosti na chaikantam anasnata na chati swapna silasya jagrato naiva karjuna. Jagrato naiva karjuna. Yeah?
Charjuna.
Charjuna, yeah. there is no, in translation is, there is no possibility of one's becoming a yogi. Oh, Arjuna. Now, Krishna's speaking here, right? So Krishna is the supreme authority of yoga and is teaching it to Arjuna. And by the way, Arjuna never did any yogic exercises. Never. But yet he's in number one yogi. He never did pranayama and all that stuff, you know. So here it says, there's no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for, by the way, it's very interesting. There is a overweight, what you would call overweight.
Championship?
Huh?
Competition?
No. Overweight. The right word is overweight.
Sumo Maharaj?
Huh?
Sumo wrestling?
No. There are too many people that are overweight in the United States now.
Population.
Obesity?
Obesity.
Too much obesity.
Obesity
Yes.
Obesity.
syndrome.
Yeah. Look it up. You just look at it. Is it true or not? Look it up.
Obesity syndrome is a complex medical condition characterized by excessive body fat accumulation that can negatively impact health.
No, okay, but is there a problem of obesity in the United States? It's a major problem.
Yes, obesity is a significant public health issue in the United States.
Right.
With a high prevalence among adults and increasing rates of obesity and related health problems.
Yeah, it's a big problem.
Around 40% of adults in the US have obesity.
Right.
40%.
40%. You know where you see really fat people? And you see it in Costco. I'm not kidding you.
Yeah.
Is it right?
That's right. Or the fast food restaurant Maharaj.
Or what? What?
Fast food restaurants or the
Yeah.
the junk food.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
They have these real big bodies, and and they're stocking up on all kinds of junk foods in Costco. As Costco's a horrible place. I never go to Costco, even though people say, "Oh, it's more, it's cheaper." It's not cheaper. You go there and you buy things that you didn't really want, right? And and it's not really much cheaper than other places, but it's organized. Like, for example, they'll put bananas on on sale, right? At 10 cents a pound or something, right? But to get to the bananas, you have to go all the way to the back of the store. By the time you go to the back of the store to get the bananas, you already bought other things on the way, seeing that they were on sale or seeing things that you like, and so by the time you get to the bananas, you already spent $100, $200 buying other things. So the whole plan of the store is psychologically planned.
That's why they give free samples.
And they give free samples,
And then people buy that.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people giving free samples there. Yeah, because they're trying to sell their products. So they give you free samples. And if it tastes good or if it looks good, then you buy it. Even though you had no desire to buy that thing, but they inspire you, by giving you free samples. Okay, so there's no possibility of one's becoming a yogi or Arjuna if one eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or does not sleep enough. So, one has to be regulated to be a yogi. Regulated in eating and sleeping and so forth. Yeah. So in the purport it says, regulation of diet and sleep is recommended herein for the yogis. Too much eating means eating more than is required to keep the body and soul together. There is no need for men to eat animals because there is an ample supply of grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. Yeah, America is blessed. There's plenty of, grains, vegetables, fruits, and milk. But the milk is not as good as our ahimsa milk. Our ahimsa milk is the best. Such simple foodstuff is considered to be in the mode of goodness according to the bodily view. Animal food is for those in the mode of ignorance. Therefore, those who indulge in animal food, drinking, smoking, and eating food which is not first offered to Krishna will suffer sinful reactions because of eating only polluted things. That's why there's so many fat people in this country. 40% of the people in the country are overweight, right? That's a very bad thing because you get so many health problems when you're overweight. Bunjate te twagam papa ye pachanti atmakaranat. Anyone who eats for sense pleasure or cooks for himself, not offering his food to Krishna, eats only sin. One who eats sin and eats more than is allotted to him cannot execute perfect yoga. It is best that one eat only the remnants of foodstuffs offered to Krishna. A person in Krishna consciousness does not eat anything which is not first offered to Krishna. Therefore, only the Krishna conscious person can attain perfection in yoga practice. Nor can one who artificially abstains from eating, manufacturing his own personal process of fasting, practice yoga. The Krishna consciousness person observes fasting as it is recommended in the scriptures. He does not fast or eat more than is required, and he is thus competent to perform yoga practice. One who eats more than required will dream very much while sleeping, and he must consequently sleep more than is required. One should not sleep more than 6 hours daily. One who sleeps more than 6 hours out of 24 is certainly influenced by the mode of ignorance. A person in the mode of ignorance is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal. Such a person cannot perform yoga. Haribol. Yeah, I'm trying to think, how much do I sleep? I think I sleep 7 hours. I think so. You know what? I usually go to sleep 10 o'clock. And I'll wake up about 4:30, 5 o'clock. I sleep about 7 hours a day. Maybe I should cut it down to 6. Okay, so, any questions?
One question.
Yeah.
So when it says such person, last line, such person cannot perform yoga, like such person who is sleeping more. So is it when Prabhupada says yoga means bhakti yoga, Prabhupada is referring to?
Yeah,
Like not for like Ashtanga yoga and those other yogas, but specifically for
all yoga,
devotees.
all yoga.
All.
Right. It's all yoga, whether it's Bhakti yoga, Ashtanga yoga, Raja yoga, whatever yoga. Yeah. If a person is in the mode of ignorance and is lazy and prone to sleep a great deal, such a person cannot perform yoga, any yoga. But what they do is boga. It's not yoga. Okay. So this next verse is a very famous verse. Yuktahara viharasya, yukta chetasya karmasu, yukta swapna abodasya, yogo bhavati dukkha. Nice poetry. And it says, he who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. Okay, so regulated his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, work, can mitigate all material pains, meaning pain, sickness, and so forth, by practicing the yoga system. So to practice yoga system, you have to have control of your eating, sleeping, and recreation and work, and to be regulated. And most very successful persons are very strictly regulated in their life, just like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He had one of those chain watches, right? And he'd always be looking at his watch, because he had a very strict what do you call it? A strict schedule, very, very strict schedule, because he was a magistrate and he was a devotee, and he had a large family. I think he had 12 kids. And so, and he was a magistrate, so he had to go to court and adjudicate people. And then also, he was writing. When he would come home from work and have some dinner, and then he would go to sleep around 8 o'clock, and he would wake up at 12 o'clock. And from 12 to 6, he would translate and write. And then he would have to start, and at 6 o'clock in the morning, get ready to, take a bath and so forth, have something to eat, and then go to work again. So he had a very, very strict schedule, and he was always looking at his watch to make sure he was on time. Okay.
Whereas there is Bhaktivinoda Thakur's schedule.
Yeah, okay, read it.
Early morning 3 a.m. to 4 a.m.
3 a.m.?
To 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Wake up. Bhaktivinoda Thakur would rise around 3 a.m. or earlier, chanting japa. Immediately after rising, he would begin chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra on his beads. Personal worship, he would perform his morning worship, offering prayers to Lord Sri Krishna and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. That's between 3 and 4. Writing spiritual literature, 4 a.m. to 7:30 a.m. Bhaktivinoda Thakur dedicated these early hours to writing transcendental literature. He authored books like Jaiva Harinama Chintamani, Sri Chaitanya Sikshamrita, and many songs during this time. His writing was deeply inspired and purely devotional, aimed at guiding future generations of devotees. Morning bath and darshan, 7:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. He would bathe and prepare for worship and darshan, offer prayers to the deities in his home. Government service, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was also a magistrate in the government service of British India. Despite his heavy workload, he remained fully Krishna conscious even while at work. During lunch, he would read or think about Krishna's pastimes. He once said he would finish his cases swiftly so he could return home to continue writing and chanting. Evening 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. preaching and worship. After returning from from work, he would freshen up and perform his evening worship. He would also preach Krishna consciousness in his home or meet with devotees. Writing and reading, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. In the evenings, Bhaktivinoda Thakur would resume writing his books. He also spent time reading scriptures like Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Bhakti Rasamrita Singh. Family time and bhajan, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. He would spend time with his family, guiding them spiritually. He would sing bhajans, especially the songs he personally wrote like Nama Sankirtana. He would encourage his children, especially Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, to cultivate deep Krishna consciousness. Rest, 10 p.m. to 3 a.m. Bhaktivinoda Thakur would sleep only 4 to 5 hours as he was deeply absorbed in devotional service. He would often dream about Lord Chaitanya and Lord Krishna's pastimes. He was extremely disciplined and gave maximum time for Krishna, intense
So
writing,
you sleep about 6 hours?
4 to 5 hours.
Okay.
Balanced family life. And this is his schedule.
I know. He's a great devotee.
Yeah.
Pure devotee. Okay. Let's see, what time is it? 7:44. Are there any questions? Any questions from the outside world? So this verse is very, very instructive. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can negate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. So what is the yoga system? It's basically regulating your eating, sleeping, mating, defending. In other words, having a strict regulated schedule. And that should mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And yoga system is, in the case of Bhakti Vinod Thakur, is chanting his rounds and meditating on Krishna. That was his yoga system. All right, and the purport of chapter 6, verse number 17. Extravagance in the matter of eating, sleeping, defending, and mating, which are demands of the body, can block advancement in the practice of yoga. As far as eating is concerned, it can be regulated only when one is practiced to take and accept prasadam, sanctified food. Lord Krishna has offered, according to Bhagavad Gita 9:26, vegetables, flowers, fruits, grains, milk, etc. In this way, a person in Krishna consciousness becomes automatically trained not to eat food not meant for human consumption. or not in the category of goodness. As far as sleeping is concerned, a Krishna conscious person is always alert in the discharge of his duties in Krishna consciousness, and therefore any unnecessary time spent sleeping is considered a great loss. Avyarta kalat vam. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. That's a significant statement. A Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna, and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day. Wow. And sometimes not even that. Thakur Haridasa would not even accept prasadam, nor even sleep for a moment without finishing his daily routine of chanting with his beads 300,000 names. It's 23.5 hours of chanting for Haridas Thakur. That only gives you half an hour to take care of your body and sleep and so forth. As far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest, and thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification. Since there's no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. Yeah, no vacation. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. Yeah, so there's two major statements here. Since there's no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness, meaning no taking any vacations. And because he's regulated, so that's one point. The next point, and because he's regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. Wow. We have to very, very seriously think about this purport and verse. He who is regulated in his habits of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work can mitigate all material pains by practicing the yoga system. And it says here, Avyarta Kalatvam, a Krishna conscious person cannot bear to pass a minute of his life without being engaged in the service of the Lord. Therefore, his sleeping is kept to a minimum. His ideal in this respect is Srila Rupa Goswami, who was always engaged in the service of Krishna and who could not sleep more than 2 hours a day, and sometimes not even that. So at one time, I was Prabhupada's chauffeur. And when he came to Paris, I was driving him wherever he wanted to go. And I noticed that he closed his eyes and took what you would call, a quick nap. Wow. So I was driving, but I noticed that he was napping, right? Didn't last very long. But he did nap for maybe, I don't know, 10 minutes.
Mhm.
So he was very, very, let's see, regulated, because how did he write his books? He was writing his books at night when everybody else is sleeping. So he did sleep, but it wasn't more than like 3 hours. And the rest of the time, he was always engaged in Krishna service. So Prabhupada was the example for everyone. Okay, so how did he write all his books? He wrote most of them at night when everybody else was sleeping, right? So that means he was very, very regulated. And look, he traveled around the world. What is it? 14 times or 16 times? I think it was 16 times he traveled around the world preaching. It's pretty difficult to do that. That means he went around the world 16 times preaching. And he wrote all those books, and all that in 11 years. He established Krishna, huh?
14 times.
14 times, okay, 14 times.
1966 to 1977.
Right. Yeah, if I fly from here to Mayapur, I'm finished.
Yeah.
It can take me 3 weeks to get over my jet lag. But Prabhupada, he was like amazing, like 14 times. Was that on the beats?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I think we'll stop there. Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments from the outside world? So our takeaway is as far as work is concerned, a Krishna conscious person does not do anything which is not connected with Krishna's interest. And thus his work is always regulated and is untainted by sense gratification. Since there is no question of sense gratification, there is no material leisure for a person in Krishna consciousness. And because he is regulated in all his work, speech, sleep, wakefulness, and all other bodily activities, there is no material misery for him. Haribol. Thank you for that statement, Prabhupada. That's our takeaway. Okay, I think we'll stop right there, unless there's any questions or comments. You can also make a comment. Okay, no questions, no comments, no answers. Yes,
One question. Maharaj, how to be like strictly following this regulation? Like how do you very regulate it?
well,
You try, like we are like
you
Right.
can't go to sleep late at night. If you're going to sleep like 11, 12 o'clock at night, you're not going to be able to do it. You have to go to sleep like 9 o'clock. Then you can train yourself to wake up, let's say 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Now you have some time to chant and read and other things like that. But you have to be very regulated, right? So if you go to sleep every night like 9 o'clock, you can wake up like 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the morning, chant your rounds, bathe, and then chant your rounds. And then you have some time for reading, and then you get ready to go to work. So 9 o'clock is probably the cut, you know. You don't want to stay up after 9 o'clock. Most people say 10 o'clock, but 9 o'clock is much better. You get better sleep if you go to sleep at 9 o'clock. Well, some people say, oh, I can't go to sleep at 9 o'clock. Right. It's still, you know, the kids are running around. My wife is talking, this, that, you know. But if you can go to sleep 9 o'clock at night and train the family to do that, not stay up late, that's very good. Everybody will be regulated. The worst thing to do is to give your kids their own room with a door. So once they have their own room with a door and also a computer, there's no telling what they're going to do. They can stay up to 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the morning playing with the computer and talking nonsense and so forth. So it's better that you all sleep together in one big room. Instead of everybody having their own room where they can close the room, and you know, it's better to have, you know, an ashram rather than a house. So in the ashram, everybody sleeps together.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Just a comment. So in childhood, when I used to go to the village for summer vacation, so people were sleeping like this, like all together outside, like all putting their bed outside.
Yeah.
Like there is not a big room, but outside, like open, because it's summertime.
Yeah.
On the bed, everyone has their bed, and they're sleeping. And sleeping very early, like 7-ish, as soon as it's dark, kind of.
Yeah, they were following nature's time, you know. As soon as the sun went down, they go to sleep. Yeah. And then they wake up, you know, when the sun is going to rise again.
And by 5-ish, they were already went to like fields, already to their fields.
In the fields. Yeah. It's a good life. They were already going into the field. Yeah.
Early morning. So the sun heat will not be that much. By the noon, they are like kind of done.
Yeah. Then they take a little sleep. And then,
Nap.
yeah. It's a good life. Clean life. No time for nonsense. Were they smoking?
No. I mean, people are smoking there, but that our relatives, that where we were staying, no.
They weren't smoking, right? That's good.
And their like their family had when he passed away, he was like 95 or 96 years old, and he was never got sick.
Right.
Never.
Right.
And at the time of the death, also he was like fine. Just he left like.
Right.
Same for the lady of the home.
Yeah.
Those
were the real people. That generation should never have died because they were such good people. Yeah. Okay. Well, Hare Krishna. Well, thank you very much, my dear devotees. It's 8 o'clock, getting close to 9 o'clock, which is time to get ready to go to sleep and wake up early. So thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Bol.